Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Our praise be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That also goes to say that may the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be upon you. That's the most important part of my greeting, because in life, that is one thing that we need. We need the rahmatu alayhi from Allah, the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to mentally get us at an ease point within our life, to alleviate us of any discomfort that we may be in, trapped in, or going through, or may go through in the future. My follow-up today, I wanted to go back into speaking about days at work, battling with, dealing with anxiety and depression. And today I wanted to do a video about the Saints. But something else was on my mind, my conscience, something that was more important, or how I would feel or see more beneficial to myself, and also to those who may be going through something and don't have an outlet, or to those who may be going through something and never had a person went through similar occurrences as them. I say that due to the fact that when I was battling at my hardest battles, I never seen the person battle like me. And if I did tell someone, they couldn't necessarily relate as if, they couldn't necessarily relate to the feeling that I was feeling at that time. They may have had sad days, sad moments, sad times, but they did not have a actual event to where they were depressed for days and weeks and months at a time. Everybody knows that I have battled strongly and I have battled hard. And within me battling at the times of my battle, I did not see daylight. I didn't think that I would come or overcome my battles. To fully enlighten you, my battles derive from me feeling ashamed about current events that had happened in my life. When I first got into my poetry, I've been writing for years. I'm not the best at writing. I don't write every day to alleviate myself. I'm more of a free thinker. I like to think, and when the thought comes, that's when I'll write. But when my career with poetry actually started to go, I had got big-headed, and I actually became a mad the poet. Even though that's an attribute of me, I was in that full throttle, you know what I mean? Like, every rapper turns into somebody when they get on stage. When they're off stage, you probably don't see that same person. Every actor gets into a act when they're on the scene. When the act's over, you don't see that anymore. I was stuck in my attribute for days in, days out. You know what I mean? Like, when I'm doing my poetry, you'll see me mugged up, mean up, you know what I mean? I'm going in, and I never turned that off. You know what I mean? I was full throttle. So it was at a point when I felt as though I was like shrinking, and I couldn't put on with that. My poetry, I didn't have any more poetry to put out. And I was thinking in my head, I was battling within my head, like, what am I going to do next? And I started debating, doubting, and going against myself. And I had recognized all the relationships that I severed throughout the time of me being on Instagram and Facebook and getting thousands of views, thousands of likes on my poetry. And it was either you was getting with me, trying to get me to the next level, or fuck you. And people were looking at me like, what happened to him? What's going on with him? That's not the same person. I had got stuck within my attribute of poetry. Like, I really was stuck there. So when I came down, depression, anxiety, and shame came down with me. I had another baby. I had a baby on a person that I was with, so our relationship was severed. I quit my job, moved to Texas to try to make my career go. Like, I was stuck inside of the poet mind frame. Every morning I'm up 5, 6 in the morning on Instagram, on Facebook. And when I started to come back down to earth, I can say one thing Dreamer told me before we split. She told me that, you need to come back down to earth. It's like you took off and went somewhere else, and I don't know this person. And I'm like, she hate me. I'd say that's basically the any and everybody. But when I came back down to earth and became Tootie again, hopefully, I didn't like it. Like, I really didn't like that person. I didn't like that person because I didn't like myself. I felt as though if I wasn't Mr. Energetic, spitting poems all day, moving all day, energetic, magnetic, womanizer, I wasn't shit. I was back to Wayne Stewart, the young individual who had insecurities, the young individual who messed up a lot in his life, the young individual that had a criminal record, couldn't get jobs. I had a great job that I had gave up to go to Texas to try to make my career go, and to show you how God was in line with that. I had a chance to be on an HBO series based in stations off within Houston. One of the main artists, Poetry Wise in Houston, DM'd me on Instagram and wanted to work with me. All right, boom. This was in the midst of me moving out, like a few weeks when I moved out. Right when she hit me up was right when I felt the tingle sensation of depression. Because when you get depressed or become depressed, it don't just snap. You feel it. You slowly but surely want to sleep more. You slowly but surely don't want to go out as much as you would, as much as you used to. You slowly but surely start to ignore those phone calls. You slowly but surely start to respond back to a text a little slower than you usually would. You don't get up and text everybody like you would. So it's a tingle sensation that I was feeling, and I knew something was wrong. And I text my brother when I felt that. I'm like, brother, because I know he battled with depression. I also thought that I had battled with it too, but I didn't know that until it hit me. I didn't know what it truly was until it hit me. So I called my brother and I was like, bro, he like, what's up, talk to him. I'm like, man, I felt broken. Because the inside of me, I felt shattered. I was teary-eyed for no odd reason. Like, I didn't know why I was so sad, but realized why I became so sad. Like, I felt as though I was landing back on earth, and me, Ahmad the poet, was transcending somewhere else, and I wanted him to stay with me because that was my gen. That's my stage attribute. That's the stage life me. That's the person that I flash into when I'm on stage. You know what I mean? But in the real world, that's not completely who I am. That's a piece of me, and I'm a part of that. But together, we're whole, you know what I mean? But I only go into that mode when I'm in beast mode, you know what I mean? Other than that, everybody know that I'm chill, laid back, funny, I asshole, a dick. Excuse my language, man. But, you know what I mean? I wasn't feeling like that no more. I had spit all my poetry out, and I'm like, what am I gonna do now? So I came back to me, and my brother like, yeah, that's depression. I'm like, that's depression. He's like, yeah, you know, you're sitting there with your hands in your pocket, and you don't want to talk, you got anxiety, like, you know, your mouth turning white, and all the things, all the attributes he was explaining to me, I was basically feeling those traits. I was feeling those symptoms of depression. And like, it came after we talked, and I'm like, I'm depressed. And slowly but surely, my vocabulary started to go away. My memory started to go away. My glow started to go away. I became darker. My appetite went away. It's like depression came in and robbed me of all these things. And as I'm struggling or fighting to like try to get it back, I can't even put on clothes properly. Like, I didn't know how to dress. I couldn't dress anymore. Like, depression had came like a storm, a hurricane, and just wiped my soul, my nature completely away. And I went from a mind the poet to Wayne Dale Stewart to just a lost soul. I didn't want to listen to music no more. All I really wanted to do was lay down, close my eyes. Football wasn't important to me no more, as much as I love the Saints. I would watch the game, but my mental would be way over there. You know what I mean? Like, I could tell you what happened on first down, and then it's the second quarter. It's like I couldn't keep focus at all. And in the midst of this, I'm trying to find work within Texas. I just left a job where I was getting $950 a week, killing it. You know what I mean? All my bills was paid, auto pay. You know what I mean? I didn't even have to pay the bills. It was already paid on my account. I wasn't looking back, you know what I mean? So now I went from that to a bank account balance of like $500 and bills coming up. I need a job, you know what I mean? So I was in the process of getting on with cleaning company. I forgot the name of them, but they may just gonna come to me maybe in the midst of this video. And I had filled out the application, did a one-day trial with them. Come to find out, I don't get the job 2 weeks later, waiting to see if I'm going to get the job. So we speaking about depression. Depression just kicked in 3 to 4 times even more. Because now I don't even have a job. They going off of my felonies, my criminal record, my career. So now I'm thinking like, damn, I left a decent, blissful ass job to come out here for nothing. This job was just trying to give me $12. I come from making, if you're thinking about it on the island, like $20, $25, making $900, $950 a week. So now I can't even make $12 an hour. So man, my courage is discouraged. My strength is weak. My drive is gone, and I'm going through these motions. And I can tell you about how I felt every day. I wasn't answering the phone to even speak to my mother. My son was probably the only person I wanted to be around. The female that I was staying with at the time, I was okay with being around her. And the world doesn't really understand why I went away from a person that was there for me in those type of situations. And just to clear the air, a person could be there or would be there for you in certain type of situations just for their own benefit. A person may be there for you in your lonely time just to fill a void in their lonely time. And people don't understand that. Love is not enough. You know what I mean? Love is not enough. You got to come with more. But this individual that I was dealing with at the time, yes, she was there for me in my discomfort. But when I came out of my discomfort, it's like it put her into a discomfort. So I didn't know if you wanted to see me happy or sad. But back to the emotions that I was going through, we had went out one day. This was probably like the first few days of my depression. This is the first time I went out, like a few days later. And we went to Applebee's. And I tell you, like how I said depression had took my appetite away from me. Man, we get into Applebee's and she like, you want to drink this to try to, calm me down or whatever. I'm like, yeah. So I got the little martini with the salt around. And I slow to drink it. And it's like the liquor intensifies the depression more. So I go in there badly dressed, looking like I just woke up out the bed, even though I tried my best to look decent, but I couldn't put clothes on properly. My mind was so discombobulated, it was that bad. And I look up and they had a older lady like looking at me like, I felt so bad for her. Like she was looking at me like she identified my sorrow that I was going through, because I internally look a mess. So outernally, I looked even more a mess. And like I said, my eyes was puffy and I wasn't even crying. But I was so sad to the point where my soul identified it and my body also identified it even more furthermore. So as I tried to fake it, it only made it worse. Liquor only made it worse. When I wake up in the morning and smoke a cigarette, it'll only make it worse. I tried drugs, and everybody knows I don't even do drugs like that to that extent. Drugs didn't make it better. The drugs that'll make a person not think about anything, those drugs made me think about everything 10 times more. So I'm not gonna keep this story too long. These were emotions that I was battling with at this time for 4 to 5 months. I said all that to say this. Imagine waking up sad, or imagine waking up how you feel right now, as just to say if you are going through anything, for 4 to 5 months with no breaks. I mean, every second, minute, hour, half a day, full day, week, month, I felt this, went through this. People was like, pray. I'm praying mentally every fucking day to get out of it. But I couldn't. I was actually dead on earth. I was living throughout my own grave. And that was terrible. That was truly, truly terrible. Like that was a nightmare on earth. Not on Elm Street. That was a nightmare inside my mind. And one of the worstest places to be in is in your own head. One of the worstest imprisonments in this earth, the worst imprisonment of life, is the imprisonment of oneself. Know that I said that. Know that I quoted that. The worst imprisonment in life is the imprisonment of oneself. To be locked inside of your mind, dealing with anger, Fear, shame, discouragement, depression is worse than being in any jail whatsoever. I could fight you 10 toes down, beat you up, you beat me up. It's over with. Life goes on. Fighting yourself, you can win, lose, draw, and that fight is continuing. And I was fighting for my life. I got videos on my old phone. I still got this video to this day. If I hadn't deleted, after 30-day period. I don't know if I still have it. A suicide video. I really wanted to just walk inside and bam myself. You know what I mean? And I'm speaking all this just if anybody's out there can relate. You know what I mean? So my video, my message, my movement is, if you are feeling any of these attributes of depression, anxiety, fear, discouragement, you're not the only one. And I'm someone who has dealt with it to an extent that I had to go into a mental hospital. This is stories later. This is the situation where I'm speaking about my first battle with anxiety, my first battle with depression. And part 2 of this, I would move on with the story of when the anxiety kicked in. Started working at Amazon. And that's when the anxiety kicked in. And it kicked in from me doing something. I was not okay with the depression, but depression was one thing. I met someone at Amazon while I was living with someone at home and supposedly in a relationship with. And I must speak about that in the next story. It goes into details, like all the way around 360. It goes into detail. But that's when I met anxiety. So in the midst of these 3 to 4 months, I'm dealing with this pressure. God is continuously throwing rope at me, gives me a $15 per hour job that allows you to get as much overtime as you want, whenever you want, if you want. And it wasn't enough. How I say love isn't enough. Sometimes in your life, you feel like blessings isn't enough. I was so depressed. Well, if you gave me $1 million, it wouldn't have made me happy. That's how bad I was feeling. That's how much I was hurting the inside. That's how bad my soul was crying in from the inside to the outside. But if anybody is mentally, discomfort, and if you need your mind to be at ease, know that within time, you know what I mean, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He heals all wounds. And it's nothing basically that you can do. Time will heal you. One thing that you could do or have to do, you have to stick in there. You can't just snap your fingers and say, I'm gonna get out of it. Sometimes putting music on makes you get out of the funk, but I'm not speaking about those type of minor depressions. I'm talking about a clinical depression. I was dealing with clinical depression. If you Google it, search it, there's different forms of depression. Clinical depression is the one I'm speaking about. I'm not speaking about when you're just waking up in a bad mood. I'm speaking about when you have to really get up and go get yourself some help and some pills from these people. These type of depressions I'm dealing with, I dealt with. But if you are dealing with anything of that nature, know that I'm here for you. Like I put in my last video, if people watched it to the last minute. My number is 504-435-9308. And I'm here for anybody if you are going through one of those things of that nature. Because I basically, I'm you and you are me. I know exactly how you feel. I can relate to you as well as you can relate to me. I still battle with depression and anxiety to this day. At work, I be sometimes depressed and dealing with anxiety, not necessarily depressed too much, because I'm not dealing with clinical depression. That type of depression, I just put some music on and I'm okay. You know what I mean? But I'm here, and I will come with a video soon speaking about the anxiety. Look for the video second take, which I call myself when I'm speaking about the Saints. I'm gonna come with a conclusion of the 2021 season and break down how I don't understand why we constantly and consistently year after year get stopped. You know what I mean? But I pray that you're okay and that your mind is at ease. Look forward to the video coming soon. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. See you soon, inshallah.